This is going to be a heavy one. This is not for the faint of heart. Honestly, when I was researching this one, um, I can honestly say it wasn't the most fun stuff to research. This is a lot of dark information, and energetically, I had to really raise myself up and do some clearings and put up some protection, just because of the nature of this information. And I'm sure it's stuff that they don't want us covering, but we're here doing it, and we're so happy you all could make it. We have a lot to get through tonight, as always. So, guys, grab your popcorn, grab your drinks, and we're in this for the long haul, as you know how these webinars are. This one is, there is a lot of videos in this one because of the simple fact that there's a lot, there's a plethora of information right now on the music industry, and everyone is talking. It really is the year of disclosure. There are a number of whistleblowers, a number of interviews, a number of podcasts, and just people sharing their experiences within the music industry and the ties to the Illuminati. So instead of us regurgitating that information, we're just going to play some of those videos for you guys and let you hear, from these people yourselves. And we've come up with some really interesting stuff, and I will warn you, some of it does get very dark. And I'll even give a trigger warning before certain slides because it's just the nature of this information if we're going to cover it right and not shy away from it. And so that being said, let's get into this. Did I share my screen yet, Aaron? No?
Not yet.
Okay, share sound, desktop. Okay. Okay, guys, here we go. We ready? Are you ready? Let's do this. This meeting's being live streamed. Okay. All right. So, as many of you guys may know, this girl, this TikToker, recently passed away, and she was exposing the music industry, as you may know. Her name is Marissa Roth, and she had over 700,000 followers on TikTok, and she was exposing the music industry, including a lot of big names like Oprah and P. Diddy. And she mysteriously died, maybe a week and a half ago, not that long ago. So we're going to dedicate this webinar to her in loving memory of Marissa Roth. And this on the right is her obituary that I found. And it was something her family wrote about her that was beautiful. And just said, Kyle was extremely creative, and perhaps her greatest gift was her ability to gather an extraordinary amount of information, synthesize it, and then present it with insight, humor, and panache. Is that what that says? Over the past
Yeah.
4 years, Kyle was a prominent presence on the internet, posting original content about gossip blind items on TikTok, Instagram, Patreon, and other social media platforms, which garnered close to 1 million followers. Her post under the Kyle Marissa generated more than 1 billion views and 50 million likes. She was affectionately known for her tagline, "You want more, I'll give you more." And these are just a few of the tweets that I saw. Kyle Marissa Roth, a famous TikToker, has been found dead with no cause of death given. She recently uploaded videos exposing Oprah and Diddy. The family is unsure about what caused her death. In the weeks leading to her passing, she was having issues with her account with over 700,000 followers being banned. So this webinar is in dedication to her. So I just figured it would be fitting to start with that because, she's one of us, and she was only doing what we're trying to do. And she just happened to have a lot of attention. And there's a lot of crazy conspiracies right now. And one of them is that J-Lo hired a hitman to kill her. And I don't know if that's true, but like here's my opinion and my theory on people like this. So I don't think it's like the shadow government or even the CIA that's having these people killed, right? So if she has information on a specific individual, these people are wealthy enough to hire a hitman. And that could be what we're looking at here, potentially. We don't know, but she might have gotten too close
Right.
she might have been too close over the target with a specific individual who didn't want their secrets being exposed. And
Right. That's a good point. It could just be a specific individual rather than we always assume it's the cabal or the CIA or the deep state, but could have just been that. You're right.
yeah, yeah. And she was interestingly enough, she worked for one of the big four accounting firms and held other positions in commercial real estate industry before venturing out on her own. So she potentially knew people, and that's why she even had access to some of this information, and she might have been a threat. We never know. So let's move on from there. Okay, so we're gonna let Cat Williams tell you about how 2024 is the year of exposure. And if you guys haven't seen this video, it's pretty interesting. But Cat Williams is one of the musicians right now who is blowing a whistle on a lot of people, and a lot of information is just coming to the surface right now. So we'll play this.
What you get? I came in this business saying I was going to expose. When I talked about Michael Jackson, when I talked about R. Kelly, they canceled me for these things because why would you talk about another black dude? Race is not where the line is drawn. It's God's side and the other side. And we don't care nothing about the other side. Period. Period. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way. The truth is the light.
And
Boom.
after that, I don't really kind of know where to go. Let me one more time.
Right.
We good now?
Because the people want to know, well, why would he get blackballed?
Yeah,
Oh,
I was gonna ask you that.
because in 30 years, I've done nothing but collect information, knowledge, and your secrets. So if you and a man was in a corner doing something you wasn't supposed to be doing,
You will tell it.
no, somebody come to tell me.
Okay.
I gather that. I value that. I'll pay for that. Come, tell me. I know so many things I shouldn't know, and they all know it. They all know it.
Right. So, amen for him. And we already
Boom.
see it. We already see it happening with P. Diddy and a number of other people right now. So it is happening, and we're only at at the beginning quarter of the year. So who knows what to expect? Okay, and so this is another video of basically a compilation of a few different musicians sharing their experience within the music industry, and this is just kind of like to warm everyone up who isn't really aware of this stuff on what kind of things happen and what these people experience in the industry.
Yeah, the music business plays this Jedi mind trick on you where the whole thing's set up to be rapacious and take advantage of your weakness. If you get success and you have leverage, they'll get out of your way because you're making them a lot of money. But the minute you're not making them as much money, then they step in and they start playing these Jedi mind tricks on you. We know what to do. The public's going to forget about you. I mean, I've heard all these things like, this kind of weird, like, yeah, you're in the room, but we're the arbiter of whether you can stay in the room. They do these 360 deals where it's like,
Right.
if you get a perfume deal, if you,
Yeah.
like your whole world,
They own you.
we own a piece of your whole world. And fame is such a great quotient in American life now that you can see where kids would trade fame and be willing to give away like the profit part. Look no further than the deals that the record labels cut with the streaming services. They got into ownership equity deals with the streaming services in an arrangement for them to have an equity position. They agreed to very low rates for the artist's music. But as Spotify and the other streaming services raise up in their equity position, the labels benefit. So the labels pimped out their own artist to take a greater equity position in a rising business.
One thing that did happen during the 60s was some music of an unusual or experimental nature did get recorded and did get released. Now look at who the executives were in those companies at those times. Not hip young guys. These were cigar-chomping old guys who looked at the product that came and said, I don't know. Who knows what it is? Record it, stick it out. If it sells, all right. We were better off with those guys than we are now with the supposedly hip young executives. And he's saying, well, we can't take a chance on this, because it's just simply, that's not what the kids really want, and I know. And they got that attitude. And the day you get rid of that attitude and get back to, who knows, take a chance, that entrepreneurial spirit where even if you don't like or understand what the record is that's coming in the door, The person who is in the executive chair may not be the final arbiter of taste of the entire population.
I don't know if most people have seen long-form contracts. They're insane, and there's all these little things thrown in. It's kind of like legislating, legislature for a government. They put up this big issue, but underneath that issue, there's like 17 other little laws that they threw in that they're not talking about. So when you say yes to this one thing, you're actually saying yes to like 45 other things.
There's a worse one. They used to have damage fees with digital downloads. Digital downloads, like at first they were doing that, like they just trying to get away with murder, just like, let's leave it in there, let's see if the lawyer sees it kind of thing.
Yeah, Metallica is a big exception. But a lot of metal bands you've heard of that you consider very successful metal bands are in situations where they need to diversify. I think the idea, that we all had as kids, we're going to make it, and our one band that we're in is going to make us all this money and be our sole source of income. I think that's gone for the most part, unless you're very, very lucky. That's not the case anymore.
Every band needs to really pay attention to what their record contract says. They look at what their royalty rate is. If you realize you're getting 0.07 cents for every stream, and your contract only says that you get 15 points on the record after you've recouped
There's everything. A lot of zeros after that decimal.
Exactly. So it just keeps on being reduced and reduced and reduced and reduced, and you have to really pay attention to it. You have to negotiate, you have to hardball, you have to, and you have to try and improvise and adapt and overcome. I've said that a million times.
I wasn't really taking large advances from the recording companies. I was recording the albums myself in my own studio. So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work, I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave, I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair. Of course, they wouldn't change, because if they changed, they wouldn't really exist. It shouldn't be a situation where they own the album or the work. We're talking about intellectual copyright. If they're going to be indeed a delivery service, then that's fine. But even FedEx doesn't say that they own the thing that they ship.
Okay, so we're just going to cut that one a little early. And now we're going to get into the Illuminati. And Aaron, if you want to read this is hilarious. This is kind of the mainstream explanation of the Illuminati.
Oh, and of course they put conspiracy theory there. What is the Illuminati conspiracy theory? The myth has expanded since the real-life secret society formed in 18th century Bavaria. The existence of a secret society known as the Illuminati remains one of the most enduring conspiracy theories of modern times. Doctors, politicians, actors, and musicians have been accused of being members of a shadowy group that supposedly controls the world. While most of the rumors are fiction, the group itself was real, though its influence was not nearly as vast and enduring as modern conspiracists claim. So this is obviously a BS.
Right. It actually is. It's more vast, and we're going to show you why.
Right.
Okay, so this is a Wikipedia explanation of the Illuminati. The Illuminati is a name given to several groups, both real and fictitious. Historically, the name usually refers to the Bavarian Illuminati, an Enlightenment-era secret society founded on May 1st of 1776 in Bavaria, today part of Germany. But what's interesting is Marvel has a superhero group called the Illuminati, and their explanation of the Illuminati is a little more accurate than the one we're getting from Wikipedia. And Marvel's explanation says, comprised of several of the world's most powerful heroes, the Illuminati is a secret organization that shapes the superhuman world and protects Earth from catastrophic threats. Now, they don't necessarily protect Earth from catastrophic threats, potentially, we don't know, but the superhuman aspect of it. And a lot of the information we were coming up, the Enlightenment aspect of the Illuminati, they are literally trying to tap into superhuman abilities. And that is largely what their end game is, and we're going to find out why. And the founder of the Bavarian Illuminati is Adam Weishaupt. So we figured we would just give you guys a brief explanation of the Illuminati before we start bringing it into the music industry here. And I'll read this one. So who was Illuminati founder Adam Weishaupt? Professor Johann Adam Joseph Weishaupt, 1748 to 1830, founded a secret society in 1776 in Upper Bavaria. Members initially refer to themselves as perfectibilist, a person who believes that a given thing, often human nature, is perfectible, and were subsequently called Illuminati. The word has adapted from a Latin root illuminatus, which directly translates to enlightened. Adam Weishaupt was born in 1748, was undoubtedly influenced by his godfather who raised him after Adam's father, a lawyer, died at a young age. Weishaupt and the society's goal was ultimately to create, by education and surveillance, an elite body of men that would eventually take over all key positions in the state. The society grew rapidly, but in the 1780s, its popularity declined. Writings intercepted in 1784 were interpreted as seditious, and the society was banned by the government. Following the disclosure of the Illuminati's existence, Weishaupt lost his professorship in Ingolstadt in 1785 and fled Bavaria for Gotha, where he wrote a series of works defending the Illuminati, including a complete history of the persecutions of the Illuminati in Bavaria, a picture of Illuminism, an apology for the Illuminati, and an improved system of Illuminism. Adam Weishaupt died in Gotha on November 18th, 1830, at the age of 82, but the Illuminati's influence would live on for centuries.
The power of the Illuminati. The Bavarian Illuminati insinuated themselves into public offices and courts of justice. Estimates about the group's size vary greatly. Some put the figure at 650, others at 2,500, but eventually the secret society was exposed and persecuted. Documents found in the homes of Illuminati diplomat Frank Xavier von Zwack confirmed their dreams of world domination. The Duke of Bavaria, Karl Theodor, banned secret societies in 1785 and instituted punishments for anyone who joined them. But did the Illuminati really dissolve? The American Illuminati. In 1798, fears about the dangerous sect had reached the U.S. George Washington wrote an open letter indicating the U.S. had avoided the Illuminati threat, but just the mention of the secret society helped to revive the topic and the fear. Rumors of secret alliances and double crossings plagued early American elections, but it wasn't until the rise of electronic media and the internet that conspiracy theories became a powerful force. In the mid-1970s, the satirical Illuminatus trilogy put the secret society back on center stage and has remained there since Dan Brown published his thriller Angels and Demons in 2009.
So it's important to go back to the beginning where it said, documents found in the homes of Illuminati like diplomat Frank Xavier confirmed their dreams of world domination. And it's the numbers they give. Some put the figure at 650 to 2,500. I mean, that's probably completely inaccurate. Maybe at its inception, but
like they talked about world domination. That was a clear goal of theirs, but people think that they just suddenly stopped when it was like officially ended, you know, but as we know, things don't just officially end and they just stop for no reason, right?
Right. So
doesn't make any sense.
So, okay. So the threat of death, this is actually something, this is part of one of the rituals. It's something important, and it's actually depicted in the Pirates of the Caribbean movie. But after 3 years of one-on-one study with their Illuminati tutor, recruits were asked to sign an oath to uphold the society's goals upon the punishment of death. A drawn sword is then pointed at his breast, and then he is asked, will you be obedient to the commands of your superiors? He is threatened with unavoidable vengeance from which no potent monarch or ruler can defend him if he should ever betray the order. So basically, they threaten you with death if you ever betray the order.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty positive it still happens today. And
it's like the mafia. You don't just leave the mafia. You're in it for life or you're dead, basically.
Right.
It's your two options. It's the same exact thing, right?
And then the Illuminati Eye of Providence, so we're going to get into what this eye actually means here. And this is just, again, kind of a mainstream explanation. Many Illuminati watchers in America believe that the Eye of Providence, the eye in the triangle found on the back of the US dollar bill, and the Great Seal of the United States is an Illuminati symbol linking the European sect to the highest echelons of the US government and corridors of power. It appears on numerous churches and Masonic buildings worldwide and is linked to Freemasonry. In fact, the all-knowing eye was originally a symbol of Christianity, found in a religious art of the Renaissance period to represent God such as in Pantormo's Supper at Emmaus. No one is quite certain who invented it, but it appears to be tied to religious motifs, as the triangle is a symbol of the Christian Trinity of Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But what about the eye? Ancient Egyptians used to detach the eye as a motif. Among the most famous of all Egyptian symbols is the Eye of Horus. The eye also appears as a symbol on some earlier editions of the Douay-Rheims Bible, the same Bible President Biden carried on Inauguration Day. So we're talking about a different Bible than the King James Bible, right? And if you looked at the Bible that Biden was carrying on Inauguration Day, it looks like the Necronomicon. It looks like the Satanic Bible. So
what a coincidence!
They're
Wow.
directly referring to this book and the Illuminati. Yeah, the same Bible that President Biden carried on Inauguration Day. That doesn't necessarily mean that the Illuminati are planning to topple the world's governments, installing President Biden, Lady Gaga, Eminem, and other rappers as the new overlords. Sometimes a coincidence is just a coincidence, or there's no such thing as a coincidence, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Except there's no except that's bullshit. And there's no such thing as a coincidence.
And as Beyonce puts in her song Formation, y'all haters corny with that Illuminati mess. Of course, they're going to try and make it a laughing stock while at the same exact time simultaneously showing you that it's real and they're heavily involved. And then here we go. We see them always doing this with the triangle, and, you know, it represents the eye of Providence in the middle. But we also see them doing this symbol with their left eye or both eyes. And so what does all this mean? Obviously, you can say, oh, it's a nod to like, oh, we're watching you. That's what a lot of people say. But Max Spears has a different explanation, and then we're going to get into another explanation after that.
Horus was born. Yes. But the truth of that is Horus is Osiris reborn.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Horus is Osiris. They're not separate beings. They're one and the same thing. So then the battle continued between Horus and Set and went on and on. Set then took Horus's eye, took his eye out. So and Set, you could say Setian. The Setian consciousness is the dark, probably satanic, vampiric, parasitic consciousness that's here, right? So Set took Horus's eye. And then when you see in the entertainment industry, when you see all the time doing this, you know the reason they're doing this? The reason they're doing this is they're saying, ha ha ha, we got his eye. We took his eye. So it's mocking Horus, it's mocking the good. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, again, they're always mocking us. And it ties it back to ancient Egypt. But what about the black eyes? And this is something where Donald Marshall would talk about the real lizards. And if you don't know what that is, we'll explain it. And Daryl James had his own experience with one of these real lizards, and we'll play a video from him next explaining. But there are 3 types of real reptilians described below. Type 1 is a real reptilian about 1 foot tall with its proboscis on its head, which is used to invade a human body through the eye and into the brain, taking total control of the body in a process called body snatching, also referred to as droning or hosting by Donald Marshall. The original human consciousness will no longer inhabit the body, only the real reptilian invader who can mimic human behavior. An adult human clone in a process called duplication can be grown in the space of 5 months and either activated by the human consciousness of a celebrity, for instance, while in the REM sleep called a drone, or the clone can be animated by a microchip placed behind the eye containing the memories and personality of a deceased elite. Listening to Donald Marshall's video interviews will allow deeper understanding of what's being discussed here. So basically, when you see a celebrity with a black eye, what they're trying to say is that, you know, this person's consciousness has been hijacked and been taken over by one of these real reptilians. And they quite literally release this thing and let it crawl into your eye. And it crawl just like you would see in a movie. It's a parasite.
Well, it's like the Goa'uld in Stargate.
Mhm.
and Stargate SG-1. That's exactly what's going on there. So that's disclosure. I mean, that's real. That's what this is essentially.
And it's a humility ritual also, because now they have to go out in public and the people in the know, this person no longer is this person anymore, right?
Right.
Or if it's not a real, it's a chip that it's also put in. Either way, it's done through the left eye.
Mm-hmm.
And this is Daryl James sharing his experience of after he got back from the program. So this is not a memory from the secret space program. This is a real life memory of one night when he was out drinking in a bad neighborhood, and this happened to him.
For a while there, I was drinking a lot, and I was kind of like suicidal, and I would walk into bad neighborhoods and stuff like that. And there was these two women there, and they waved me in, so I went in. I was like, well, all right. And then I was really drunk, and I don't know, they were kind of acting weird, and I said, well, do you mind if I lay down on, you know? They said, you can lay down on the floor. I was like, all right. And I was so drunk, I didn't care. And I heard like this voice say like I ain't scared, kind of sounded like that. I didn't know like what it was. I was about like kind of halfway out of it, halfway into it. And the woman said, it's all right, it's all right.
By the way, the voice that says "I am scared," that was the actual real lizard. He didn't clarify that in this video, but that's what he heard.
And I felt something like wet on my face. And then I heard this voice in my head, and it went into my eye. And I heard this voice in my head say, pull it out. And I grabbed it, and I tried to pull it, but it was already around like my retinal nerve. And I said, I'm going to pull my eye out. He said, well, then pull your eye out. And I clenched my eye as hard as I could, and I yanked it, and I pulled it out. And the women said, like, hold him down, hold him down. And they were on top of me, and I just like pushed them off, and I stood up, and I had this thing like slapping around in my hand, and I just threw it down the hall. It was like wet and cold. And I yelled, and I was like, ah, like I didn't know what was happening. And they just stood back, and I saw this little thing on like the table. It was like a foot high, and it looked like a puppet. And I got real close to it, and it looked like one of these, which they call like grill. Robert called them drones. And I guess when you get drone, you're a drone as well. But then also like those working grays, they were called drones. And I guess it pushes out this proboscis or whatever out of its head. And it's like its consciousness, and it can go into your eye and wrap around and inject this fluid into your brain, and it kills you. But then it takes like your body, it takes your consciousness. And they say it takes like weeks to recover from this. But Donald Marshall talks about it. I don't know if you ever heard of him. But yeah, I threw it out, and I ran out, and I was like screaming, because I saw this, and I said, lizard, I said lizards, because I remember the Tibetans used to call them lizards as like an insult. I would say lizards or reptiles in general. And the two women's, like kind of like a shared consciousness, said, he knows, like one after another. And I was like, oh, and I just ran out, and I ran out the street, and these people were out in the street because I was yelling. And they said, what is that? I was like, I don't know, there's like a reptile, and it had like eye stalks like a crab, and I was trying to explain it. And I remember Don Marshall said that there's polka dots on the mailboxes of people who have been drones so they can tell each other apart. And I saw polka dots on their mailbox. This was almost like a setup, like the kind of higher density beings can manipulate lower densities. I remember that. So they can kind of make things happen. They can manipulate our density, like a fourth and a fifth density can manipulate ours. And I remember that. But yeah, that's something I hadn't brought up before. And yeah, that was what it looked like. And it was brown, like a rust color, and it had pincers and stuff like that. But yeah, I saw that. And
yeah, I mean, so that's pretty intense. And, you know, we hear Donald Marshall talk about it, but there's not anybody else that I know of besides Daryl that actually has a story who lived through actually pulling it out of their eye and living to tell about it. And so I think it's significant to share that. We know Daryl's not in the music industry, but it's a powerful testimony. And then, Aaron, you can read this. This is the owl symbolism, which we'll get into briefly here.
Many actors and musicians associated with the mainstream media and entertainment industry are members of the Order of Minerva, which is a branch of the Illuminati. Their symbol is the owl.
Which also, what did you call it? Moloch?
Well, Moloch is like the owl, yeah, right there in Bohemian Grove is like the god who is apparently like an owl that a lot of the Illuminati or Cabal worship,
Right.
or do rituals to, sacrifices to and stuff. And then like the one in Bohemian Grove, they do the cremation of care, and there's all the elites that are there and stuff.
What is that exactly? The cremation of care?
It's exactly what it sounds like. It's like eliminating your empathy completely, essentially, is what is the whole like point of it. Or it's like a ritual signifying that, at least. So it's saying like you're not going to have any empathy or any care. You're not going to care. Like you can do all these evil, horrible things, and you're not going to care about it.
Right. And that's, look at all of these celebrities and musicians doing this. And again, there's no doubt in my mind that they're ordered to do this. It's not like they just want to go out there and do this stuff on their own. It's like you sign this contract, and any chance you get publicly do this. Like this is how they're showing the world that they're in control.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is Wikipedia's explanation, which is hilarious. Since the founding of the club, the Bohemian Grove's mascot has been an owl symbolizing wisdom.
Mascot. It's hilarious.
Mascot. Like,
yeah, it's a mascot.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And
symbolizing wisdom, right?
That's totally again, this is just like a conversation piece slide. So this is in your face, right? And this is the Beatles album, which we know about Paul McCartney and him being killed and cloned, and you know, we'll get into some cloning stuff later. But this album cover was retracted. The record company, the record label, I'm sorry, actually was receiving so many complaints that they had to pull this off the shelves and re-release the album with a new cover. But this is the Beatles in butcher's coats with raw meat and children doll body parts. I mean, if they're not telling you without telling you, then what else are they doing? And Aaron, you can explain this next cover.
Right. And then the one on the right is the Rolling Stones 1967 album called Their Satanic Majesty's Request. And if you read some of the lyrics in some of the songs, it's like all about Satan and selling your soul to the devil and like Satan. It's all like satanic lyrics, not all the songs, but some of them. And the title of the album, you know, Satanic Majesty's Request. And there's a lot of occult stuff going on there on the cover there. There's Saturn, as you can see right there. There's like his wizard's hat with a moon on it.
Right. And it's very Wizard of Oz themed. Like it reminds me of the Wizard of Oz, the colors, and then the castle in the background, which could be the Illuminati castle, which we'll get into later.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And okay, so this is a little bit of a longer video, but it's a really great summary of the Illuminati from David Wilcock.
They say that the goal of their organization is to crush the head of the serpent of religion. Now, granted, organized religion has caused a lot of problems, but what they really mean is not that all religion should be excluded. It's that they want to make it so only their religion exists on earth, and if you don't follow their religion, you will be killed. So what they've been doing is they've been giving us their religion. They show it to us in, for example, the most recent Olympics opening and closing ceremonies was loaded with Cabal symbolism. They do it at the Grammys. They do it at the Super Bowl halftime show. They go out there in music videos and movies and video games and television shows, and they're showing us Luciferian symbolism. The reason why they're doing this is that they want us to become entranced by the idea of this religion, to have it be cool, to have it be trendy. So one of the things they do is this symbol, which is 666. Each finger is one of the stems of the 6. So you'll see people do stuff like this. You'll also see them put their finger over their eye like this. That's the all-seeing eye. Or they'll do this a lot. You'll have this kind of symbolism. So they're out there putting out these sigils and signs and codes and symbols, and they do it through things like pop music. So people start watching what's ever popular, and they're seeing flames, and they're seeing people dancing around in Baphomet horns, and they're seeing all this really strange stuff. Their goal, again, is to acquaint us with their religion so that if they get their goal realized, which is to create a massive world economic collapse, greatly reduce population, and then come out as our liberators, giving us this technology, giving us what they consider to be freedom. We would actually be trading our sovereignty for a much greater level of tyranny. I would encourage everyone to not blame the musicians who are displaying these cabal symbols, and I want to bring out one example. The female artist Kesha, or Kesha, I'll just go with Kesha. The female artist Kesha put out a video called Die Young, where she is dancing in front of a pentagram and singing about that her goal is to party so that if she parties hard enough, she'll die young. And she was quoted in the media as saying that she brushes her teeth with Jack Daniels. Okay, so it seems that this is what she wants to do. This is the video that she wants to make. So Kesha has the video Die Young out there in the public where she's dancing in front of a pentagram, which appears to be what she wants. It's her video, right? That's what we're trained to think. And then we get the Sandy Hook school shootings in which little children have had their brains blown out by gunmen. She gets so distraught, and they end up actually pulling her video and her music off of the airwaves because of the tragedy of Sandy Hook. And she's singing about children dying young. She gets this overwhelming amount of comments. Every single article you see about her when this happened after Sandy Hook, Illuminati bitch, just like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. She must have been bombarded with people saying to her that she was a satanic Illuminati Luciferian sellout. So she comes forward in a public statement not too long after the Sandy Hook shootings and says that she was forced to do those songs, to sing those lyrics, and to perform in that video. She was not the one who wanted to dance in front of a pentagram. She was not the one who wanted to write the lyrics, I want to die young. She was told what to write. And then, this is the really important part, she comes out later on and said that she was raped by her producer, this man named Dr. Luke. Now, Dr. Luke has been a producer who has actually, in many cases, written the music for the vast majority of the most popular female pop stars in today's world. That's why all the music sounds alike. It's written and produced by the same people, so they have the same style, so yes, it all sounds alike. And there's not even that much variance in the vocals because they're using auto-tune to make everybody be bang on pitch. What happens is that Kesha ultimately files a lawsuit against Dr. Luke and says, and also against Sony, saying that nothing was done to stop her from being raped and that she wants to be free of her recording contract so that she can record independently as an artist. The case is thrown out of court. She loses. Sony wins. She's not allowed to get out of her record contract, and this happens right before very significant video music awards that take place. Then what happens? You have some of the people who would normally be associated as Illuminati pop stars, Luciferian pop stars, like Katy Perry, like Taylor Swift, like Rihanna, like Lady Gaga, who all come out. Taylor Swift gives her, I believe, $250,000. Adele, in her award speech, speaks out in support of Kesha. Lady Gaga does a whole musical performance. What If It Happened to You was basically the point of her song about rape, and she's like crying on the piano. Now, these are the people that we would think, in most of the conspiracy analysis community, well, yeah, Lady Gaga wanted to be dressed up in this outfit with devil horns, and she wanted to be drenched in blood, and she wanted to have flames around her. No, what you're finding out is these people are doing what they're told to do. They want to have a career, they want to be famous, and once you get into the system, they just wear you down little bit by little bit. You keep giving up more and more power, more and more control. You know you're in over your head, and they keep your mind saturated with drugs and alcohol so that you are not capable of making intelligent decisions about your future. And you're so numbed out that you don't even really remember most of what's happening to you, and they just put your body on a tour bus, and if they can prop you up on stage night after night, then you're cranking out all this money for them by going on a recording tour. So this is the stuff that's really happening in our world today, and therefore I would encourage you to not blame the artists, but to look at the labels themselves. How is it, for example, that American television companies continued to give Bill Cosby television acting jobs for so long when there were so many reported rape cases that he had committed. We have the same thing over in the UK with Jimmy Savile, who was on Top of the Pops in the 1960s, is a very active television star through the 70s, in the 80s, on into the 90s, a huge celebrity. And there are over 2,000 people who have come forward to report that he raped them as children. And he was doing this in hospitals that he financed, in special rooms. And certain people have come forward in the Express, which is one of the main British newspapers, came forward and said that he was wearing a black robe, that there were candles in the room, and he was chanting in Latin, Ave Satanas, which means Hail Satan, as she was being raped in this ceremony. That's public record. So the British government has been doing a variety of investigations of all this stuff, and what they found is 261 figures of public prominence, top politicians. In fact, there's over, I believe it's over 60 politicians were involved in this thing. Hundreds of celebrities. Some of the celebrities, yes, are involved. Some of them are brought in against their own will. High-level executives. This thing is pervasive through media, government, finance, military, politics, pharmaceuticals, agriculture, food. It's a very complex problem.
And there you have it. We can just end the webinar there.
Right. That pretty much sums it all up right there.
Right. So, does Hollywood and the music industry intentionally use satanic symbolism in their videos? 100% Hollywood and the music industry use satanic symbolism intentionally. Satan's whole goal is to get as many human souls on the route to hell with him. What better way to do that than to make everything perverse, wrong, tabooed, distasteful be seen as trendy, good, right, and something to be celebrated? We know that music and television are satanic influences because they are on the air when they are live. Ironically, Satan is the prince of the air. He has very little time left and must make all that is wrong seem acceptable by humanity so that he can basically establish hell on earth. And then the person said, fine, Jesus, there's not much time left.
This is obviously a very,
Right.
dogmatic Christian person, but what they're saying is, outside of that last line is absolutely true.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what's interesting too is how many of you guys are familiar with the military entertainment complex? I actually have to admit that I wasn't too familiar with this. I do remember hearing about it, but I have never really looked into it. So the military entertainment complex is a corporation between militaries and entertainment industries to their mutual benefit, especially in such fields as cinema, multimedia, virtual reality, and multisensory extended reality, whatever that means. Though the term can be used to describe any military entertainment complex in any nation, the most prominent complex is between the United States Department of Defense and the film industry of the United States. And there is a long list of films that basically, if you read all this, they have to be approved by the Pentagon and the Department of Defense. These film scripts, they have to get approved by the U.S. military before they're released, especially the films that would basically be telling the story of our history or what's happening in space or any narrative that they want to control. But it's not just movies. They also do this with music videos. And on the top of the list is Katy Perry's Part of Me music video is a military entertainment complex video. And there's a whole list of videos as well. So we have to keep in mind, just like David Wilcock was saying, these videos aren't exactly what the artist wants to put out. This is all their propaganda, their narrative, their agenda, and it's just we're being bombarded with it, as we know.
Think of the artists; they're slaves to the system because they sold themselves to it, and usually that they're tricked into it. You know, they don't initially know what they're getting into until it's too late, and then it's too late. And as we know about cloning and all these crazy technologies, like even if they wanted to get out, they can't essentially. So like David was saying, like don't we're so focused on the artist. It's like it's what's behind the artist. They're just being propped up as a puppet essentially, but it's the people in the system behind them that is to blame here. It's not the artist itself.
But I will say in some cases, the artists are very shitty people, and
or in some cases, it's also
Yeah.
the artist too.
Yeah.
Right, right. I mean, it's both. It's both. Let's just say that
Some
it can be
people
both.
they play on their already negative behavior traits and their ego
Right.
and their toxic behavior, and they actually amplify it. So it's already within that person, and that's a
Right.
that's where we get.
But even still in that case, it's the people behind the artist that's creating the platform and telling them still what to do, the music video, all of it.
They're throttling it. Yeah, they're throttling it. The ego.
They're just using, oh, this person's a perfect person to use, because they're already like this, right? So even still.
Okay, so this is actually a Twitter thread that I came across, and the reason we're going to share this is because it talks about this woman, Jessica Rosenbloom, who allegedly was the one who introduced the Illuminati into the music industry. And that may or may not be accurate, but we'll read through this thread. It's not too long. Puff Daddy and Jessica Rosenbloom Illuminati City College Sacrifice Ritual, 1991. Jessica Rosenbloom seemed to come out of nowhere in the 90s. She was a top-level promoter, and nobody could become a rapper unless she approved. She gave P. Diddy's rise to fame. Claims of her ties to secret societies and the Illuminati persist throughout the music industry. She came from a wealthy family, and many say that this is when the Illuminati first infiltrated hip-hop. She and her friend Amber Shear together dominated the hip-hop industry. So we have an infiltrator, right? Like, obviously, we understand that most of these musicians and artists are well-intentioned, but there are people in place to basically take them off their path. And Puff Daddy was in good with Jessica for many years, all the way back to an AIDS fundraising concert held in City College in Harlan. The concert was organized by Puff Daddy, but what people didn't realize is Jessica Rosenbloom was the actual party promoter behind the scenes, who is, tied to these secret societies and the Illuminati. So already we have the presence. There were numerous reports of overcrowding at the concert and exit doors being shut and locked with people trapped inside before the stampede. 3,000-person crowd surge forced everyone to the stairwell where 9 people were crushed and killed. Many people speculate that this was a sacrifice similar to Astral World Travis Scott concert, which we'll get into later, so that P. Diddy could attain fame. So this is a sacrificial ritual. With Jessica Rosenbloom's ties to the secret societies, the stampede was a ritual sacrifice planned by P. Diddy to gain wealth and riches as told by the elite. Reports of P. Diddy counting money during the stampede further add suspicion. Witnesses tried to confront P. Diddy, said he didn't care that people were trapped and could possibly be injured or killed. In reality, Jessica Rosenbloom collected the money and let P. Diddy put his name on the show. Jessica ordered exit security doors locked after she came through and was out of harm's way. She did this for fear the night's proceeds would be taken. Soon after the ritual sacrifice was finished, P. Diddy would create the Bad Boy label, and his career was skyrocketed to fame. Many times in a musician's, actor's, or politician, or even celebrity's career, they are offered by the Illuminati secret societies to engage in ritual sacrifice in exchange for power, wealth, fame, protection. Many go along with it. Many try to back out and end up killed. P. Diddy's latest scandal involving trafficking is merely a light being shined on his many years of debauchery and for selling his soul for riches and fames. We all remember the photos of Epstein's child procurer, Rachel Chandler. This goes without saying why they were acquainted. There are also many rumors as to why P. Diddy took such an interest in Justin Bieber when he was just a teenager going on trips to undisclosed locations that nobody can verify to this day. His countless allegations of sexual abuse, I only suspect this is the tip of the iceberg. And here's Beyonce and Jay-Z. Isaac Cappy's tweet says, "Are they next?" And this is a tweet from Liz Crokin. "It's only a matter of time before spirit cooking Jay-Z is exposed like Diddy. There's a reason Kanye said Jay's got murderers. I would know. He's evil to the core. I pray there will be justice for Kathy White one day. The false idols will continue to fall, mark my words." So there you have it. And we're going to get into some more of this P. Diddy stuff because there's a lot to unpack there, and it does expose a lot of what's actually going on behind the scenes. But before we do that, we're going to get into this frequency of how they shifted the frequency from 432 hertz to 440, and we're going to explain why that is.
The physical nature of the two frequencies are pointed out by Dr. Leonard Horowitz in his paper Musical Cult Control, but he goes even deeper into what he thinks are the reasons why we went from A432 to A440. Horowitz claims that there was a conspiracy between the Rockefeller Foundation and Nazi propaganda minister Joseph Goebbels in changing the standard because herding the populations into greater aggression, psychosocial agitation, and emotional distress was necessary to create a war mentality. Supposedly, the Rockefeller Foundation had strong financial interests in weapons of war at the time, and of course the Nazis had strong interest in, well, war.
And it wasn't until 1940 that the US adopted the 440 hertz as the standard, with the rest of the world following in 1953. But why did the world change in the first place? For one thing, 432 is supposed to be a more natural vibration based on the fact that it's divisible by 3, unlike 440, which is divisible by 2. The results showed that the high frequency sound exposure immediately showed its detrimental effects on heartbeats after a short adaptation period in the 440 hertz group, and the average values decreased to half of the normal values. Now, if it's affecting the heartbeats of anyone who's exposed to it immediately, we've been exposed to this since 1950 in all of our music. It's all tuned to 440. Imagine what that's doing to the entire planet, to the entire civilization, and why we are all in disharmony, largely because of the music and obviously what's being pumped from the towers now. And then this next excerpt is from the Thea Uber Prophecy, which talks about sound pollution.
The sounds that reach your ears are clearly very important. A particular piece of music can elevate you to a state of euphoria, while another piece, although very pretty, will have no effect on you or perhaps irritate you. Try an experiment. Take a piece of soft violin, piano, or flute music that you like and play it as loudly as you can. The suffering of your eardrums will not be as great as the discomfort you'll feel within. Most of your fellow human beings on Earth consider noise pollution to be of negligible concern, but the noise of the exhaust pipe of a motorbike is 3 to 4 times worse than the noxious fumes that it discharges. While the fumes affect your throat and your lungs, the noise affects your astral body. However, no one has been able to take a photograph of your astral body, and so people don't concern themselves with it.
Right. And this is a video here of what it looks like, what they're doing with our music. Imagine what this is doing to her body whenever it starts. All right, I can't even watch that without being irritated, actually. And have you ever pulled up next to a car like that? It just irks me. Or I don't even know how people sit inside of those vehicles. Even
I really don't.
Even as a kid, I hated it. And I would get in cars with friends in high school and in my party days, and sometimes they would be blasting music like that. And I wanted to jump out of the car. Like, I don't know how they do it.
Subwoofers. Yeah, they get subwoofers put in their car, and it's just like horrible. Yeah.
Now, remember what they said about the music 430 hertz, 432 hertz being divisible by 3. Well, the 440 is divisible by 2, which leads you to the 808 frequency, and that's what they're going to tell us about, and this is part of their programming.
Saying the 808 exists in the lowest chakra of your body. The majority of content that's related to the 808 is killer or sexual content. The original 808s was even off pitch. So that meant it's an actual sound in the track that you don't realize is there that is fucking up your entire frequency. And now today, every time I hear a car come out, it's 808. But if you think about African music and hip hop and we breakdance to, it was light. The percussion. It was upbeat. It was the drums. Now it's like, and all of this is a bigger, and it's like, man, at this point, it's like they should have killed.
He should have killed me.
Kanye.
And then this is a little bit better explanation of it.
The vibrations, the 808. The 808 is known to trap your soul. The 808 is this deep bass, and the vibrational frequency of the 808, it keeps you locked into your root and your sacral chakra. And it's so addictive because it's sexually stimulating to the body. So people be listening to the music and they say it's not necessarily the lyrics, it's the beat. You are sexually stimulated by the beat you listening to, and that's why you put it on replay, because you got to keep hearing it. And you don't realize you're getting a release of oxytocin and dopamine from this, and it's sexually stimulating you. You think you just like the beat because it sounds good. No, it sounds good to your whole entire body.
Yeah.
And so yes, music, it can be used as a weapon. They have something called sound weapons. DARPA out of the USA creates something. It's called the energy sound weapon, and they used it over there in Afghanistan, where they would turn on a certain frequency and turn it up as loud as possible. It makes your ear bleed. It gets you very confused. It have you foaming at the mouth, and it can bust your heart. You can Google it right now. It's called a direct energy sound wave weapon, and it sits on top of a truck. And whenever they want to disperse a crowd, because they use the same thing in Ferguson. I'm from St. Louis. I'm from Ferguson. They use that on us in Ferguson during the riots. Man, you would point that mug towards a crowd and turn it up, and it gives you this type of frequency that your ears are not used to hearing. Because remember, we only hear within a certain range and see within a certain range. Once you go outside of that field, it's very, very distortive to the body. You see that? And man, yes, these things will literally, they will kill you through sound.
Yeah, it's disturbing. And and there was a lot that happened during Ferguson. Man, I keep forgetting about that. And it's right here in our backyard. And
Tyler and I we were both there during all that. That was crazy.
I can't remember the name of the guy, Philip Liptek or something. He talked about, he was a Army veteran, and he was in this basically almost like a secret space program type of division of the Army, but it wasn't in space. And but it was a super soldier division. And he said that in Ferguson, and he even showed photos of this. I should have found this, but he showed photos of them basically an experimental super soldier released in Ferguson. And if you look at the footage and the photos, this guy is like twice as tall. He's a giant, twice as tall as the other soldiers. And allegedly, just from the rumors of all the other officers and law enforcement around, they couldn't stand being around this guy because he had no emotion, and he was super like just angry. And it was like you couldn't actually be around him. And he was this giant super soldier that they released in Ferguson. So who's writing these songs? This is a fun part. So a lot of people don't know. And I don't know if there's anything necessarily nefarious about this, but the artists that release the songs, they necessarily aren't always writing their songs. And we kind of talked about that, but we're going to get into it a little more. A lot of people don't know that Otis Blackwell wrote a number of Elvis Presley's hits. Elvis just sang them. He didn't write them. Not all of them, but a number of his famous songs. So that's the case with a lot of our popular music. And within the popular music that's written by somebody else besides the artist, there is subliminal messages, and that is called backmasking, which you may have heard of. It's a technique of creating and hearing alternative messages when a track is played backwards or forwards. So the popular song that most of you guys probably know about that this was done with was Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, 1971. So the lyrics are, as we wind down the road, our shadows taller than our soul. There walks a lady we all know, who shines while light and wants to show how everything still turns to gold. And if you listen very hard, the tune will come to you at last, when all are one and one is all, to be a rock and roll, not to roll.
To be a rock and not to roll.
Yeah. Anyway, so played in reverse, but this is what it says. So here's my sweet Satan, the ones whose path would make me sad, whose power is Satan. He'll give you 666. There was a little tool shed where he made us suffer, sad Satan, sad Satan. And what's interesting about this, whether it may or may not have been done intentionally, and if we understand reverse speech, a person always has their subconscious mind delivers a message, an underlying message on top, behind their vocal message, right? And it's the underlying message from the subconscious mind always speaks the truth. So if
which is the soul coming through. That's what that is. It's
Right.
the soul. It's the truth of the soul of the person telling you, yeah,
So
that's there. Yeah.
But a lot of times people are lying to themselves and they think they're telling the truth, but the reverse speech will tell you if they're actually being honest. And sometimes they're
Yeah.
intentionally lying. And but the point I'm trying to make is maybe these artists were possessed or sold their soul and didn't even realize something was working through them writing these lyrics and creating this type of reverse speech or backmasking. And within a number of songs, all of the popular songs, there is subliminal messages. Some of it's obvious, some of it isn't. The movie Under the Silver Lake is about that. And Sam, you want to read this, Aaron? This is just like a plot of the movie.
Notice how 33 there, it's not
Right.
a coincidence. Sam is an aimless 33-year-old in Silver Lake, Los Angeles, interested in conspiracy theories and hidden messages in popular culture and uninterested in paying his overdue rent. Sam is a disenchanted 33-year-old who discovers a mysterious woman, Sarah, frolicking in his apartment's swimming pool. In the morning, Sam discovers Sarah and her roommates have moved out overnight and becomes obsessed with learning what happened. Noticing a strange symbol painted on the apartment's wall, Sam trails a woman from the apartment to a series of elite Hollywood parties, encountering the pop band Jesus and the Brides of Dracula, and a performance artist working for a prostitution ring of struggling actresses. All seem connected, but Sam struggles to find any meaningful pattern.
So
really good movie, by the way. Highly recommend watching it. Tons of disclosure in it.
It's disturbing, but it's
disturbing, but there's disclosure.
It is a must watch if you have not seen it. And we're going to play a clip from the end of the movie. Unfortunately, we're going to spoil. If you haven't watched it, then you can skip this next scene. But it basically, what happens is he follows the messages, the hidden messages that he finds within the music, the subliminal messages. And he actually realized it's like a map. It's like a trail of breadcrumbs that leads him ultimately to this guy's home, and this is what he experiences. And this guy claims to be the one who writes all of our popular music, and it's like this whole heartbreaking moment for him.
You know this girl?
Well, isn't she pretty? Earth angel, earth angel.
She was killed.
Oh, won't you be mine?
Along with Jefferson Sevens, but I think you already knew that. Yeah.
No, I did not. I don't care what's fashionable or cool. It's all silly and it's all meaningless. I created so many of the things that you care about. The songs that give your life purpose and joy. When you were 15 and rebelling, you were rebelling to my music. Uh-oh. That's one you know. That song was not written on distorted guitar. No. I wrote it here on piano somewhere between a blowjob and an omelet. There is no rebellion. There's only me earning a paycheck.
I don't believe you.
Well, good, because the real message was not meant for you. So it's better if you just smile and you dance and you enjoy the melody. Because this ugly old man, me, I am the voice of your generation. Your grandparents, your parents, and all the young people that follow you. I love rock and roll. Drop another dime in the jukebox, baby. Oh, look at you. Everything that you hoped for, that you dreamed about being a part of, is a fabrication. Your art, your writing, your culture is the shell of other men's ambitions, ambitions beyond what you will ever understand.
That's funny to you?
Well, it's a little bit funny. Don't you think? Because I wrote this, and I wrote this, and I wrote this.
Stop it.
And I wrote this too.
Stop it! Who's paying you to write these songs? Who's paying you to write these songs? Oh, shit.
Anyway, so it's a great movie, and I'm sorry for that spoiler, but why I played that is because there is a Barry Manilow song called "I Write the Songs," and there's a conspiracy that this song in particular was him channeling Satan. And basically, the song said, "I've been alive forever," and I wrote the very first song. I put the words and the melodies together. I am music, and I write the songs. I write the songs that make the whole world sing. I write the songs of love and special things. I write the songs that make young girls cry. I write the songs. I write the songs. Home lies deep within you, and I've got my own place in your soul. Now, when I look out through your eyes, I am young again, even though I'm very old. And so basically, the way I see this is that scene from that movie is directly related to this song. Like there seems to be maybe this person this Hollywood immortal, right? What we call these immortals, potentially pulling the strings behind a lot of the famous music that we all know and love. Now, this is just a theory, right? But it's very interesting to go down that rabbit hole. And Anne Marie, actually, you guys may know who she is, but she sent me a video on this conspiracy theory, and that's how I even found out about it. So thank you, Anne. You have anything to add to that, Aaron?
I mean, I've heard so many times from so many insiders, that so many of the hit songs are not written by the artists. Like they're given to them, they're forced to. They're like, this is going to be your hit song. This is what you're going to sing. You don't have a choice, just like what David Wilcock was saying with that Kesha song. I mean, it's not just when you see it once, it's not a one-off. This is a common thing. Like all the big top level artists, it's all of them basically.
Right. And so this gets into the Donald Marshall testimony, where he claims that it was basically a torture and child molesting factory. I was one of those children, but when I was young, to keep the perverts off of me, I started singing songs, original songs, very good ones. They told me to keep making these songs and I wouldn't get hurt. And so I did, and they started bringing me there every day for songs as celebrities wanted more. They called me the goose that laid the golden egg, the phenomenon, but I ran out of ideas and the torture began again. So his testimony, he says that there's basically this arena that people are brought into, like people are abducted like he was and brought into this arena, and they force child slaves to sing songs. And there are basically music producers, celebrities, politicians, they're all there. And they get these children to write these songs, and they sing these songs that they essentially are channeling. And then they take the songs that the kids sing, and then they basically rewrite them and give them to a famous artist to sing to the public. It's a very, very disturbing story, but Donald Marshall isn't the only person that claims that this is happening. And it's just another layer to who's actually writing these songs. And there's a lot more that he gets into, but it's very disturbing stuff. So we're not going to get into that.
Yeah. It gets really, really dark,
right,
disturbing stuff.
Here's, if you don't know his testimony, I'll just read the first line of this. He said, "This is no hoax. This is no joke. My name is Donald Marshall. I have been cloned by a large secretive cult known as the Freemasons and the Real Society and Scientologists, together called the Illuminati. They make replicated bodies of people to victimize in terrible ways. They clone children for men with underdeveloped penises and have sex with them. The political people started bringing movie stars and musicians there to hang around with them. They control who remembers the cloning facility and who remains oblivious, even though not remembering still damages you. I know who is involved. The ringleader is, and the ringleaders and everything they do." but it ties into the Illuminati and the music industry. I mean, it has some very, very dark roots. And then John Todd, so he is an Illuminati whistleblower. This is, I'm not sure when he passed away, November 10th, 2007.
2007, yeah.
Yeah, so he's an
So
Illuminati whistleblower, which Wikipedia calls him a conspiracy theorist.
Of course.
But we're going to play a video from him that really tells some of it explains the rituals and what's actually, you know, the intention behind a lot of these music.
Real quick before the clip. So he's from the Collins family. If you guys know, the Collins family is one of the major bloodline Illuminati families. And before this clip plays, like he tells his whole life story of growing up. He's like, I grew up in this Illuminati family where you're taught witchcraft. You're taught that everything you're taught is like evil is good, you know, good is bad. Like you're taught that Christianity is evil, and obviously there's like the dogmatic Christianity of modern days. Obviously, there's a lot of wrong stuff in there, but Yeshua himself was a very powerful being that they hate, and that's why they attack Christianity. It's because of Yeshua. It's not because of the dogma that, you know. Anyways, he goes into his whole story, and he broke out of it, and then he kind of went like super Christian. So you'll kind of pick up a little bit of that, but this is real. Like you know, this guy grew up in it. So anyways, go ahead.
All right, here we go.
And that rock music is actually satanic spells being cast and being planned by the Satanist church, and that's a direct quote. Then you go right on ahead. Right now, one of the Manson family girls is in trial. And she said the number one thing that the occult world used to brainwash them was Beatle music and rock music. I was the manager of Zodiac Productions, which Zodiac Productions' name's been changed since then. I'm not even sure what they call it now, but it's the largest music conglomerate in the world. It owns RCA Records, Columbia Records, Motown Records, owns almost all the concert booking agencies in the United States. And that's not even the name of the company that owns it. The name of the company that owns it is Brenner Enterprises, and Brenner Enterprises is owned by Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan's owned by Standard Oil, and Standard Oil is owned by the Lords of London. You can track it on back. You kind of get the idea after a while. But I was the managing president of Zodiac Productions. It's one of my jobs as being one of these 13 people. Thus, I got to know many of the people who produce music and sing the music and play the music that you play. Recently, one of the top people in rock music from the group, can't think of the name of the group now. It's one of the top rock groups still in existence that's been around a long time, was just saved. And he told how when they'd play in their concerts, they would control, through witchcraft spells in their mind, the people to do different things in the audience. And that they'd work the audience up not with their music, but with their mind and their music combination. Now, one of the closest friends that I got during that time that I obtained was a man named David Crosby. Crosby, Still, Nash and Young. I saw David the day before Christmas last year, talked with him. I got him away from this witch that he had with him. He told her to go shopping. We were in West Hollywood, and I was witnessing around to people I knew. We went off in this store, and we started talking. I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I'd like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, now I'll have to explain some of this when I'm done, because you're not going to understand it all unless you know something about music. I said, did they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I got to know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He said, come on, Lance, you know what the reason is. I said, please, David, I don't want to guess. Tell me what the main reason is. He says, the same as when you were in, so that we can play spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He says, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on, and it's placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master is cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in the executive offices. And it's placed on an altar, sitting in the north of the room, and a pentagram engraved in the floor. and 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. The rest of the conversation was this: you can't cast a spell on a Christian, but you can get a Christian to cast a spell on themselves. If you give the permission for the spell to work, being a Christian won't block it. And rock music is not just a song. It is supernatural music that which is carefully designed by their spirit guides or familiar spirits in the form of spells. Now, although the devil's music's power is the music and God's music is the words, much of the songs are written in what we call witch language. To give you kind of an idea, many of you talk on the CB, unless you know what a smoky is, and a 10-4, and a front door and back door and rocking chair and these type of things, you don't know what you're talking about. Same with witches. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else means something totally different than when you say them. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in witch language. And I want to show you something. See how many kids in here will be honest and adults. How many remember and have heard at least several times a song called Hotel California? Somebody tell me what it meant. See, most people can't tell you. That's why when people do drugs and they listen to songs in witch language, they get some of the meaning. But most of the time, they can't tell you. Stop and think how many songs are out there that you really like, and you don't have any idea what the person was talking about. Beyond the Yellow Brick Road? How about The Destroyer by Kiss? Can anybody tell me what it's about? Kiss said in it, kids, show your parents. They're talking about Helter Skelter. Beatles sung Helter Skelter in witch language. Nobody knew what it meant. Manson did because he belongs to the process. Helter Skelter is a several thousand-year-old word. And they're believing that it's going to happen in a year from now, from this very date. Most of the music is either about Helter Skelter or a place called the Night Winds, which is what Hotel California is about, and different doctrines of witchcraft. You listen to them, your parents let you listen to them, and they have no idea. Kiss openly bragged how they were gaining control of people through their music because the people played their music. They told how they didn't form their own group. Their church, because they were ordained ministers of the Satanist church, placed them together. And that's how most of the music is done. David Crosby, when him and Crosby, Still, Nash & Young produced the record Two-Way Street, they ordered the principality of Medice to order demons of rebellion to go into the record, and everybody that heard it would be rebellious against law and order and government. And it was one of the reasons for the great upheaval in the 60s was that one album, and they take open credit for it.
Yeah, that's some pretty wild stuff. And I believe every word he's saying. So we're going to get into, they don't just randomly pick a musician sometime or a person. A lot of these people are groomed from a young age, and we're going to get into that. This is a small clip from Isaac Cappy talking about the grooming, and we're going to get into a little bit of the P. Diddy stuff and Justin Bieber, just as an example, even though this happens with a number of artists.
Steven Spielberg is a pedophile. Oh, I'm not going to talk about Tom Hanks either, who is also a pedophile. There's this girl, Sarah Ruth Ashcraft, on Twitter, who has been accusing Tom Hanks of raping her when she was 13. Her dad sold her to Tom Hanks. It is so rampant. It is so bad. But watch for the symbolism, because these people out themselves with the symbols. The very top levels, these people are just sick and psycho. Look into the Rothschild family. You heard it's cannibals. Yeah, there is cannibalism. The higher you go, the more sick it gets. A lot of people are kind of born into this. They grow up in it. They are abused. And through the abuse, especially as a child, you can break someone's subconscious mind. Look into MK Ultra. It's music, it's film, it's art. Look into Marina Abramovich. Is Oprah a pedophile? Well, let's see. Hanks, Weinstein, I mean, the company she keeps, as rich as she is, I have a feeling she is very high up in the cult. And this, make no mistake, this is a cult. There is a widespread cult that is worldwide, and it's fucking bad, guys.
And they took him out because he was waking a lot of people up.
Yeah, he's unfortunately no longer with us. So R.I.P. Isaac Happy.
Yes.
And okay, here we go. Let's get into the grooming aspect of this. And Justin Bieber was, P. Diddy took him under his wing. But before we get into that, we're going to play this where they talk about manipulating the youth.
She can manipulate the youth. The kids love Taylor Swift. But instead of being a great role model that she built her fan base off of, now she wants to be a witch. Y'all see the switch? And this isn't something new. Billie Eilish with children. Building a fan base with children. Then all of a sudden she made a song called All the Good Girls Go to Hell. Now this is your Billie. Now this is your Billie. And all the brainwash would call it artistic. Lil Nas X built a fan base off of children. They blew this man up out of nowhere. Then what happened? Out of nowhere, he switched. Next thing we know, he's sliding from heaven into hell. Even gave him his own satanic shoe. They had 666 on him. Also Luke 10:18, the verse in the Bible where Satan fell like lightning. So do you guys see the comparison? Do you guys see the pattern? Do you guys see who they're after? They're after the youth. Because if they can control the youth, they can control the future. Y'all might have thought she was America's sweetheart, but my Bible says even Satan himself masquerades like an angel of light. Stop listening to these artists and stop letting your children listen to these artists. Little do you know, you are allowing demonic spirits to come into your household. Because when you play that nonsense, you are coming into agreement with that nonsense. Your eyes and your ears are portals. What you let into them is what you're coming into
your agreement. So obviously they're targeting the youth, and this is just a quick little segment on basically Justin Bieber exposing P. Diddy, but this doesn't say much. It's just a little clip.
We all know that Hollywood is a place filled with crimes and sins, and especially grooming and assault. The Hollywood elites and people in power are known for exploiting and grooming young artists. One of these artists is none other than the superstar Justin Bieber. Justin is starting to speak up about everything that goes on behind closed doors in the industry, and he's naming names this time.
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Justin also spoke up about this and confirmed all the rumors, making Diddy panic. You're watching The Celebrity Circle, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about how Justin Bieber exposed Diddy's shocking truth about grooming in Hollywood.
Dorothy joked about what Bieber called violating. Did grab his butt. I couldn't help it. He was just so delicious, so little. I want to tear his head off and eat it.
There was Katy Perry, who apparently wanted to know what a Bieber butt felt like.
Do you have pizza parties with pop stars?
Pizza parties.
Okay.
Billie Eilish.
I just want to protect her, you know? I don't want her to, go through anything I went through. I don't wish that upon anybody.
After dropping the song Yummy, Justin Bieber took to social media posting several photos of babies with the hashtag Yummy. This led to a lot of speculation for obvious reasons. It wasn't until about a month later when Justin Bieber appeared on the Ellen DeGeneres show. During this interview, he turned speculation into shock.
Yummy. What does that mean exactly?
My sex life.
Okay.
My sex life. My sex life. My sex life.
In the opening scene of the music video, Justin Bieber walks in, passing children, playing musical instruments for all of the adults in the room. As he sits down, the camera pans over to a little girl in the red. Look at the look she gives him. Now remember, this music video is about Justin Bieber's sex life. Keep that in mind. Notice how at this point Justin Bieber is served food. He sits there for a minute looking at the people around him and what they are eating before he decides to take a bite. Notice as he takes that bite, the reaction he has, like he is blown away from it. And then he points to the gentleman beside him with a nod of approval. It has been speculated that the man presented here looks a lot like another man. As the video continues, it looks as if more guests are coming to sit next to Justin Bieber as he tries their dishes.
And interestingly enough, Justin Bieber just posted today or last night on Twitter photos of him crying and like just completely distraught. And they're saying that maybe all this news about P. Diddy might be triggering some traumas within him. Like there's a whole theory, but he's not having a good time right now. And if our heart is going to go out to anybody. It should be somebody like him who is taken at a young age and brought into this and doesn't get to live a normal life. So this guy kind of goes through the P. Diddy lawsuit. And the reason I'm going to play this is because it doesn't just expose what's going on with P. Diddy, but it kind of paints the picture of what's going on with a lot of people in the industry.
We just got the Jeffrey Epstein of the music and entertainment industry. The new lawsuit that just dropped against Diddy is massive, and it has photos, it has videos, it names names, and there's so much here that it's never going to fit into a single video. So I'm going to do a quick overview in this video, and then I'm going to do a couple of parts breaking down all the different aspects of what's come out so far. We're talking crime scenes, we're talking photo evidence of celebrities like Cuba Gooding Jr., we're talking record label executives, we're talking hidden cameras in every room of the house, getting recordings of celebrities, executives, politicians at parties with celebrities and underage girls, with drinks being spiked, with drugs. This goes all the way back to the murder of Tupac and Biggie. We're talking about the entire rap and hip hop industry and the whole music industry at large. Diddy often bragged about having law enforcement under control. Although the deeper you look, the more it looks like people above him and above law enforcement had him under control. We'll go more into these cases in the detailed videos, but now the bigger picture. See, Diddy has been one of the most powerful people in the rap industry ever since the 90s when he founded Bad Boy Records. And he was only 24 when he founded it. He started his career as a non-paid intern at A&R until he was then fired in 1993 when he was 24 and founded his own label, Bad Boy Records, later that year. So how does a 24-year-old found a massive record label on his own? Well, when you dig further, you realize it wasn't on his own. It was with the help of Clive Davis, his mentor. And the further into it all you dig, you realize that Clive Davis came out as gay later on, and there's a lot of rumors that him and Diddy were in a relationship throughout this time. This is going to come up over and over and over, just by chance. Clive Davis has been running significant portions of the music industry since our parents were kids listening to music. Responsible for artists like Aretha Franklin, Alicia Keys, The Grateful Dead, then later Usher, Outkast, Pink. But back in the 60s and 70s, like Janis Joplin, Santana, Aerosmith, Pink Floyd, like, come on, read it. Jones specifically claims that they were trying to groom him to do gay stuff, which has long been the talk of the town in the rap industry by people that aren't with it. Diddy allegedly showed him a tape from a secret recording that he just happened to have of Jones's idol having gay sex with some white guy. And then Diddy apparently told Jones that he had engaged in gay sex with this redacted rapper and that redacted rapper and his idol, Stevie J. And apparently he also promised to make sure that Jones would win Producer of the Year at the Grammys if he did gay stuff on camera. Although, to be clear, he wasn't explicitly saying on camera, but Mr. Jones discovered that Diddy had hidden cameras in every room of his home. I'm going to guess that Diddy didn't learn how to wire a whole house with cameras on his own. Kanye has accused Diddy of being a Fed many times. Diddy's also been accused of ordering the hit on Tupac many times. And when Diddy was asked about this on a podcast, this was his response.
We don't talk about things that are nonsense. We don't even entertain nonsense, my brother. So we're not even going to go there with all due respect, but I appreciate you as a journalist asking.
When you start digging into allegations of the CIA, the FBI, the Mossad having tentacles in the music industry, you wind up at like this. Former CIA agent admits agency created gangster rap to fill private prisons by glamorizing criminality. Claims like famous hip-hop lyrics of the legendary hip-hop outfit NWA were even scripted by a team of psychologists and war propagandists inside the CIA, according to this former agent. But it leads you to people like Leor Cohen, who might be the most influential person in the last 100 years of music, because he ran Def Jam and made Jay-Z who he is, including Redman, Method Man, DMX, Ja Rule, Ludacris. But it doesn't stop with rap music. We got Bon Jovi, Mariah Carey, Shania Twain, Elvis Costello, Ashanti, Nickelback, Slipknot, Sum 41, The Killers, Slayer. But then we've also got his protege, Julie Greenwald, that got elevated through this merger that he brokered and managed the Black Keys, Bruno Mars, Death Cab for Cutie, Jason Mraz, Kid Rock, Lupe Fiasco, Wiz Khalifa. That would be this Julie Greenwald. And then we've got Lucian Grange, the CEO of Universal Music Group. He's the one that is directly implicated and named in this lawsuit. It is alleged that he attended these parties with underage girls and with sex workers, and he knew that they were spiking drinks, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're talking about Diddy, you got to also talk about Justin Bieber, who was managed by Scooter Braun, along with Kanye West, Ariana Grande, Demi Lovato, et cetera. Scooter Braun is a really big player in the modern music industry. We also got Psy, Carly Rae Morris, Martin Garrix, Kanye West, Black Eyed Peas, David Guetta, Lil Dicky. So you might not remember, but back in the 90s, Tupac and Biggie were both coming up, and they were both talking about leaving their records that we've shown the people involved in those records already and starting their own. And Tupac was starting to speak out a little bit maybe about the nature of the industry. Diddy was close in the middle of that, and there's a lot of rumors that he ordered the hit on Tupac. Diddy sort of rose to power on the power vacuum of Tupac and Biggie both leaving the scene. And he has been manipulating and running a huge portion of the industry from the inside ever since. And this court case directly alleges with lots of evidence that he has been running a sexual blackmail scheme that entire time, promoting artists that would engage in the sexual blackmail scheme and then do their bidding there, because there's not just him acting alone, and pushing out, ostracizing, blacklisting, attacking artists that wouldn't. So maybe you should go back and listen to some of Kanye's interviews and see if he sounds quite so crazy after all.
And that's just a small portion of that lawsuit, of that court case. There's so much in there. This guy has done a number of videos breaking it all down. It exposes the entire industry. And, you know, some of the names were redacted, but a lot of them weren't. And they're all tied together. And unfortunately, you know, fame isn't all what it seems to be.
Yep. It's the top of the pyramid of control. You know, of course, they're going to control mainstream everything, right? So, of course, music.
Right.
Along with everything else. They got their puppets. They got what everything they want to blast out to the world is what they're going to blast out to the world. Like, it's that simple, you
know. So I'm not going to play this video, but it's basically Fox News saying that P. Diddy is worse than Jeffrey Epstein, and they talk about the tunnels, his home having tunnels connected, trafficking tunnels under his home. And that's basically the gist of that video. But this next one is a former Pussycat Dolls singer exposes dark industry secrets, basically just kind of what she experienced.
I saw some of the most disgusting, despicable things, the most cutthroat, nasty things happen within the industry. And my gosh, the 30 years that I was a part of it, you know, women will do whatever it takes to get famous, and they'll throw themselves at a married man sort of thing. You know, I watched a lot of things happen. And yes, there's a part of your soul that you do sell, but I'm happy to say and proud to sit in front of you right now to tell you I actually didn't sell my soul. I was offered countable times where it was, you're a star, come to my office, don't bring your manager. You know, I'm 20 years old, very naive, like, well, why not my manager? You know, it's like, it's a pretty scary place here. You have to have a very good head on your shoulders. And luckily my mom taught me good, because yeah, it could have gone really bad here. You know, and I just pray to God that my kid doesn't want to get into the industry.
It's funny, isn't it? You hear that so much from people in industries like this that say, you know, I hope my kids don't. And I know even in tech industries that people go, I don't let my kids go near tablets. You know, you see stuff, don't you, that people just don't know about.
The glitz and the glamour is all on the outside. The inside is the grody, yucky part of it. And yeah, I think at a very young age, I was groomed, you know, very over sexualized to get jobs. It was just always I lost my childhood pretty much. You know, I just turned into a 21-year-old when I turned 14, because I started working at a production company and performing all around the country and doing all these things with dance. So it's just, and then commercials and music videos. And then it was just, yeah. So I grew up and I was around a lot of adults, you know, a lot of adults that found me attractive. It was like, which is really kind of gross to me looking back at it as a mother now, where it was like, oh, can you imagine if they changed the legal age to like 16 and then we could be together? The guy was like, you know, 40s, 50s. So yeah, I definitely see like the really seedy, I've seen the seedy side of things. I will never call anyone out. I was luckily like nothing happened to me. I was never assaulted, nothing bad like that happened. But yeah, there was some really bad situations that I saw and was kind of a part of, yeah.
Okay, so I think Chastity just asked what that guy's name was that was going through the lawsuit. I'm not sure what his name is, but his Instagram is cancel this clothing company. And you can follow him there and on TikTok. Cancel this clothing
We should
company.
put that in the description at some point.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
And then this is just a quick video on explaining how the blackmail works.
They got rituals in order to see you got the right one.
I don't know about
I'm a kid.
rituals.
I never sold myself.
See,
I never did no gay shit. So I don't feel uncomfortable saying about it. What I told you, the devil's job is to take as many souls as possible. The music industry is satanic. When I tell you it's still the same gatekeepers, what I mean by that is a company called Vivendi. Period. Vivendi. Y'all can Google that. Vivendi owns Viacom. It's umbrella companies. This motherfuckers, this shit don't change, right? That's one. Two, with the music business, once they see you got potential to be influential over the masses, so when they get proposition and they see a car, they go, they don't know, don't drink after a nigga. They don't know a nigga going.
They never
and
been
then
in
what
the street,
happened?
they don't know the
Now
rules
look,
that
I'm
apply.
gonna tell you,
Right,
look,
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you a story, because I ain't really trying to put niggas out there, right? But a nigga in the studio, we from the hood. I used to stick niggas up, bro. Babyface, I used to book niggas. So I'm always on point, bro. I'm on point right now, my nigga. Always on my square. But a nigga that's a square, he don't know. So he don't know watch your drink. He don't know. So now he drink behind a nigga. He get drugged. They rape this nigga. They rape this nigga. Videotape it. Then when he in a meeting, they give him a shitty contract. They play the video of him getting fucked by like 3 niggas. He ain't never been through shit like that. So he like, man, what? Fuck it, I'm just gonna sign. And you gonna give me money? So rather than get that story put out, he gonna sign that bad contract, which is the 360 deal. He gonna take that advance, which is recuperable anyway. So they gonna give him the money just to take back and own the rights to his shit.
I'm sitting here with 5 niggas that got the same look like
I'm telling y'all, they fucking niggas around out here. Y'all, they are fucking niggas around. They giving niggas some shit that ain't even what you think. You fuck around, wake up tomorrow, shit, ass nigga with a footy on, and don't know what the fuck you just did. I mean, real shit. Your motherfucker meat pistol fucked up and your ass hurting. You don't know what the fuck to say. You don't know who to tell. But this is what the game is going to. That's what it's going to. Then, here it is, it's time for a contract to come out. Nigga want to sign you for 5 years. You like, nah, dog. So you don't want to sign with us. Nah. Not for no nah. Man, pop in the tape. Show this nigga what he did last night. I'm serious. Dude, this real shit I'm telling y'all though. Pop in the tape. You sitting that motherfucker like, man, what the fuck? Yeah, well, what the fuck? That's what happened. You got fucked. What you gonna do? You gonna sign that contract. You don't want nobody in the hood to see that shit. You don't want this shit to get out, dog. I'm telling y'all, and this is what I'm gonna tell y'all like this. These niggas that you see constantly high, they're not getting high because they like to get high. They getting high because they know what they done done.
Send the stylist at them first. Yeah. Yep. And if the stylist is like, if the stylist report back and be like, oh, he ready, then they invite you to the party. And that's when they be like, yo, look, when we go in here, it's gonna be some, you know what I mean? It's a nigga at the door.
Okay, now look, what Ali Vegas is doing to you right now, he's giving you the game of how these niggas be getting turned the fuck out.
Yeah, like
they try to put this tight ass shirt on you.
That's what they do.
And if you wear the shirt,
they like, oh, he ready.
He with it.
That's you telling them like, yeah, I'm ready. And then next thing you know, you get invited to the party where the greeting is the man squeezing your dick.
Whoa.
It is not what we think it is. Sorry for the disturbing information, guys, but it's all part of the territory. Aaron, did you have anything to say to that, or are we just going to keep trucking along?
I don't think there is much to say to that.
Right.
I mean, it's pretty.
Okay, so the prison industrial complex. So we kind of mentioned it earlier on how basically gangster rap is designed to recruit people into the prison system, and we're gonna listen to a few people explain how that is done.
The secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation. I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991. He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice.
Pretty fucked up. They're making music that promotes criminal behavior to encourage people to commit crimes so they can be brought into the prison system as revenue, basically.
Yeah, it's the same people that control the whole system. So they manipulate one industry to do something for the other industry. And that, I mean, that goes beyond just that, you know. But yeah, that's a perfect example. Like, they promote criminal behavior, so you do a bunch of crimes, so they have an excuse to fill the prisons.
Right.
And just rinse, repeat that whole cycle. Right.
And then here's a little more on that. Here we go.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. Literally the same people? Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. The records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. You have, the record company pushing the narrative. Some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full.
And just for the sake of time, I think I'm going to skip this one, but this is just a country artist, John Rich, talking about the same stuff, basically. And it doesn't just happen with hip hop, it's happening with country music now. And he talks about the three major companies that own everything and how they've just taken away the rights of the independent artist. And it's just, people are fed up with it, and everyone's talking right now. So this is the death clause theory. Actually, you're going to see a preview from an episode we haven't released yet. We're going to release it, I think, on Tuesday this week. We're going to have a Tuesday release. Lily Nova introduced me to a guy named Ryan Marquez. He is a musician, and he is not in the industry as we know it, but he is in the music industry, and he had a lot of information to share about his experiences. So he actually was local, and he came to my house, and we did an interview. And he told us about the death clause theory, which I'll let him explain here in this next clip.
I know this is one big thing in the music industry. A real conspiracy is this thing called the death clause. So the death clause is basically the ability for the record label to do this crazy thing where they can take out an insurance policy on an artist. So when you sign your name on a contract, you're basically signing a thing that says if anything ever happens to me, like the insurance, like the record company collect an insurance policy on me. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times what happens is the artist becomes to a point in their career where maybe they are not selling as much records, or they're kind of like past their prime, and they're in this awkward position where from a business standpoint, like it might be more beneficial if they were dead. And so the record companies are kind of being accused and different, different players and for different reasons, for different motives, and all kinds of celebrities, are being accused of being intentionally killed and then having it faked as a drug overdose or a suicide, and it's people whose names we've heard, people like Jimi Hendrix, people like Kurt Cobain, people like Michael Jackson, people like Prince, people like Whitney Houston.
Right. So they I mean, that's insane, but it doesn't even surprise me. They have an insurance policy. So basically they get you to write all the music. They get you to produce all the music and go on a tour, make all the money. And then once you're done, once you're, they've used you up, then they kill you because now they don't need the middleman anymore. They can just collect all the royalties without you. And
Yeah.
that's what they're doing.
I mean, you are an asset and a pawn to them. You're nothing more than that. Like, they don't care about your music. They don't care about you. You make them money. You fulfill their agendas. Full stop. That's all they care about. So of course they're going to do that. Of course.
Yeah.
Like, of course they're going to take you out when it's more beneficial for them to take you out than it is for them to keep you around. And then make it look like a suicide, make it look like an accident, whatever. They can easily do that, right?
All right, moving on. Now, what does it mean to sell your soul in the music industry? So this is something I found online, and it kind of describes what it means to sell your soul in their eyes, in I guess the mainstream media eyes. In the music industry, selling your soul doesn't involve any supernatural entities. Instead, it's a metaphorical concept. It refers to the act of sacrificing artistic integrity for the sake of fame, success, or financial gain. It's about making compromises that may conflict with an artist's original vision or values. While that's true, the part that isn't true is it doesn't involve any supernatural entities, because it actually does, and we're going to prove that.
Yeah, it's way deeper than that. It's way deeper than that.
So basically, I don't have to read this. It just basically, you're giving away all of your creative abilities, all of your creative rights to someone else, and in exchange for short-term fame and money. How artists sell their souls in the music industry. Choosing a popular genre, a path to a wider audience. One way artists sell their souls is by choosing a popular genre. They might shift from their preferred style to a genre that's trending, ensuring their music reaches a wider audience. That's why we see artists sell out. This strategy can boost their popularity quickly, but it may also dilute their unique sound. Producing high quality music and videos, the lure of attention. Another strategy involves producing high quality music and videos. In today's digital age, the visual appeal is as important as the audio quality. Artists often invest heavily in professional music videos, even if it means compromising their creative vision to fit mainstream expectations, building a public image, the pop star persona. Creating a compelling public image is another way artists sell their souls. They present themselves as pop stars, adopting a persona that may be far removed from their real selves. This involves professional photo shoots, unique styling, and carefully curated social media presence. While this can attract fans, it can also lead to a disconnect between the artist's public image and their true identity, which that's also not necessarily true, because they're literally creating an alternate personality. We'll get into that in a second. And participating in talent shows, the shortcut to fame. Finally, participating in talent shows is a common route to quick fame. Shows like The X Factor and The Voice offer a platform for artists to showcase their talent to a large audience. However, these shows often require artists to sign contracts that limit their creative control and tie them to specific record labels. While this can lead to overnight success, it's a clear example of trading artistic freedom for fame. In essence, selling your soul in the music industry involves making strategic choices to gain popularity and success. However, these choices come with a cost, leading to a trade-off between artistic integrity and short-term fame. In the next section, we'll delve into the potential consequences of this trade-off. Well, that's somewhat true, but it goes a lot deeper than that. Lady Gaga confesses like never before, "I regret selling my soul to the devil."
The famous singer Lady Gaga has rarely told the story of her life, and the rumors that are circulating that she is a member of the Illuminati. In the soon-to-be released documentary titled Gaga 5'2", she said she regretted selling her soul to the dark forces of the Illuminati. Gaga also reveals that she suffers from a severe muscle disease known as fibromyalgia, which she believes was brought on by allowing the devil into her soul through the secret Illuminati organization. According to her, everything started in 2006 in New York. After a performance, she was approached by an elderly person who told her that she was perfect to become famous in favor of certain conditions. It was a beautiful show, and I got a lot of applause. I was smoking a cigarette and thinking I wanted cocaine again, or rather, I wanted more of everything. When an old man in a suit came up and asked me, "I think you've got what it takes. Do you want this?" I asked him what he was talking about. He smiled and said, everything. Success, fame, power, money. Do you want everything? I did not understand him at first, but after I was convinced that he was very powerful, I sat on my knees and asked him whom I should worship. I looked her in the eyes and told her that I wanted to have everything, that I would do everything to have it, she said. She further adds that she regrets her contract, saying that she wants to make others aware not to fall under this temptation.
So again, this is somebody who didn't come into this with, they were probably well-intentioned. But some people like her take it pretty far, and we've seen the videos with her, Marina Abramovich, and a lot of the satanic rituals at her concerts. And, you know, there's a whole theory out there that she's potentially a man or a tranny. I mean, I don't know if that was surgically done or that might be part of the sacrifice. I don't understand. I don't know. But this is a very disturbing video that people thought that she was just like putting on, like doing this as some sort of artistic display. But I think that I'll let you guys decide. This is not normal behavior.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Gaga, you look so good. Oh my God. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Oh Jesus Christ. Oh my God.
Do what you want.
Oh my God.
You break my heart.
I mean, she's clearly traumatized, and the people have no idea.
Oh Jesus Christ.
That's like some MK Ultra stuff.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. Come on.
That's like she just got out of an MK Ultra session.
Yeah, from whatever building she's leaving. Yeah.
Gaga, please.
I mean, I wonder what those
Gaga,
guys
please,
are
can you
sitting there
come share?
thinking.
Oh,
I don't have the patience to move that slow.
Right. Or this is like when a demon just entered her body.
Right. There's something not right there.
There's something not human going on there. That's what we know.
All right, we're gonna listen to a couple celebrities tell them about what it's like to sell your soul, and listen up.
About a week, not today, but about a week ago, I sold my soul. You understand what I'm saying? And ever since I sold my soul, I haven't been happy ever since. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ain't gotta believe me. It is what it is. I'm not even capping. It's because, listen, I had to do it. You understand what I'm saying? Because, like, I had to do it because I was trying to make it, like, you feel me? Like, and as if when I was, selling my soul, like, there was things that I could sacrifice about and stuff like that. And I sacrificed myself. I could have sacrificed anybody. But when you sell your soul, you gotta sacrifice someone that you really love, and I sacrificed myself and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
And then this is, if you guys know who Young Pharaoh is, he has some really interesting information.
I ask him to leave, but he can't. He's here for a reason. People have brought him out. People conjured him up. Now he won't leave.
They ripped this muscle called the vasovagal, and this sends an electrical signal the opposite direction up the spine. So remember, your brain sends signals to the body down the spine. When you rip that vasovagal muscle, it sends an electrical current up the spine, and it hits the brain. And when it hits the brain, it splits the psychological paradigm of the person into two. So basically, it's like you have one memory card, and this process gives you two. But this second memory card is empty. And this is where they then perform the ritual to where another intelligence can come inhabit your body, and where you have dual personalities. So this is just like Beyonce becomes Sasha Fierce, or Nicki Minaj becomes Roman and Martha, because they've been through the vagal-vaso process. And this is just like on camera, where Beyonce says on camera, when she get on stage, something takes over her and does what she's naturally not able to do. So when we're talking about selling your soul, right? You can't technically sell your soul, it's not worth anything. What you're doing is you're selling your physical experience for natural things that don't naturally have a monetary gain. So what they say is, right, we'll let you have cars, money, clothes, and all of this shit that don't matter, but this being wants to exist inside of you for a certain amount of time. When you on stage, right, and you have fans, what do fans do? Your fan in your house projects wind, it projects energy. So when you have all of these fans projecting energy into you, right, it does something to your soul. So when you're on stage, that don't be these motherfuckers on stage. And when we talk about MK Ultra and neurological, psychological programming, those don't be the original inhabitants of these vessels on stage. Those be entities who want to have a physical experience. When you perform your song, you do your ritual, and boom, they inhabit you. So when you go out there, all of the energy and shit that's being conjured up, they're experiencing that. So you basically trading your physical existence. That's what you're doing. So you know, it's all Masonic occultism, magic, and the shit is real.
And then this is Katy Perry talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I released a gospel record when I was 15 because I grew up in, you know, a household where all I ever did was listen to gospel music, and my parents are both traveling ministers, and so I kind of sang about, you know, what was going on in my life at 15, and that's how I got introduced to the music industry. I swear I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of music. Yeah. But it didn't work out, and so I sold my soul to the devil.
So I sold my soul to the devil. So clearly, selling your soul is a lot more than what we think it is.
It's a lot more than what freaking Wikipedia or whatever that was is telling you.
Especially the A-list musicians, right? The ones that have all the success. I think they're really the ones allowing a entity to come in and take over. And then this
Oh, yeah.
I'm not sure who this is actually. He's talking about just how they normalize it.
I want everybody who can hear this interview to know, as much as I'm supposed to be promoting this movie and talking about my album, I just feel like we're in competition right now because they are trying to normalize the devil. They are trying to the devil is on the main stage at award shows and in every video and signs and symbols. And I said, you know what? We need to stop treating our relationship with Jesus like the little buddy that you talk to before you go to bed at night, and not be more vocal about all the things that God means to us and all of the things that God has brought us through. Because there's been a lot of moments that you didn't post about, but yet you know, how did God decide to get me through this?
Yeah, man.
And yeah, they going above and beyond to promote the devil. And it's pissing me off because the devil worshipers used to be real secretive, going down in the basement, this secret world. Now they just
they on the device too.
Yeah.
Right. It's literally everywhere you
in your face everywhere now. Right.
Oh, so this is a guy from The Voice. They're even getting people on The Voice and this guy won The Voice, and he explains what happened when he won.
I did one of those TV shows, The Voice. A couple years ago.
Okay. You don't sound like anybody else in country music. I'd love to be your coach, dude.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Which it was interesting. It was like just kind of like a random thing. I'd never seen the show.
Yeah.
Just they like reached out to me and I went and did it, and it was a trip. It was interesting.
What was it like for you?
Super different, you know, from like gigging it in bars and venues. You know what I mean? Very, very different.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was cool. I made it to third place. It's wild.
Awesome.
It's like a bizarre.
Did they ask you to join the Illuminati?
Yeah, I drank the blood and everything.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you. You've done it too. You've had the blood? You can't confirm or deny.
Can't confirm or deny.
I shouldn't have said anything. I signed the NDAs and here I am breaking it.
Well, that's well, I'm pretty sure you're locked in. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I should be good.
I think you're good. I think you're good.
Even at a young entry level like that, did you drink the blood? Did they ask you to join the Illuminati?
Yeah, and they're playing it off as a joke, which is what they do a lot. So it's like they're telling you, oh no, it's just a joke. Yeah, no, they're telling you.
So this is Max Spears talking about Fall Guys, and I'm glad he brought this up because this is a theory that I've even had on my own for a while. Stay tuned for part 2 of the Illuminati in the Music Industry webinar, where we get into Fall Guys, ritual sacrifices, Illuminati in the astral realm, planet Sirius and Saturn, overt rituals, and so much more. Thank you for watching.